Hi, welcome to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. I'm Ava Gaudet here at Go Local Live. I'd like to introduce my next guest. He has been dubbed the forefather of indie hip hop. He has had a long, incredible career. He's based here in Rhode Island, but has fans across the globe. I would like to welcome Sage Francis. Come on. Hi. How are you? Thank you so much for being here. Come on over to one of the little red marks. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me. I get to play in the reindeer games in Providence finally.
Yes, exactly.
Good.
Yeah, I wanted to have you on the show because, you know, I have been highlighting some members of the hip hop community here in Rhode Island. I think it's a really important part of us culturally and musically. It's a big contribution I think that we are able to make in Rhode Island, and it's almost impossible to talk to anyone without your name coming up. You've been in the game for 20 years.
Yeah.
And the really cool thing about what you were able to do back in the mid-90s was sort of like pave this way for independent hip-hop artists, which independent artists today have a much different picture than back then.
Yeah, it's much different.
Much different.
Whole other world, but it did start in Providence. It did start in Rhode Island. And Rhode Island, like a lot of places, was very reluctant to host hip-hop shows. Like the venues would put a kibosh on hip-hop, like nah. So what we ended up doing, because I had a band and we started at URI. And we would sneak into shows. It's a hip-hop band, but all they knew was it was a band. So AOI was the band, our official intelligence. And then once we did the shows and they saw a big crowd come, and there was no violence, it was all, you know, on the up and up. They were like, okay, maybe we'll do another one of these, and you know, we're selling tickets, you know.
Yeah.
So then we eased our way into Providence and other places, but that was like one of the major steps we had to make, because it was like, how do we get shows? Like, how do we get our stuff out there? I mean, we were doing stuff on the radio, but I mean, really the spirit was in the live performance. So yeah, that was one part, and I think what I just said, where it's totally different worlds, that is still the same world. There's still a lot of places out there where they're reluctant to host a hip hop show, and indie hip hop in particular, I think, gets a brunt of, I don't know, the negative energy that gets attached, I think, wrongly to hip hop, because like country western has their issues. I was going to say metal, but not really, because the metal kids actually are well behaved. So, yeah.
Right, they act all crazy, but really they're well behaved. Yeah, so there were all these like kind of barriers that you had to break through as an artist back then. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of barriers that every artist has to break through, but back then it was like, you know, to get your music heard by a large amount of people, you needed distribution, you needed like a label, you needed all this stuff. It's not like today where you could just like pop it on YouTube and millions of people can hear it.
Right.
So how were you able to crack through back then? You were able to sort of like find this way to
Yeah, well, you work with your situation. For me, the radio was one. It's different now, but college radio was the main way to get people outside of your very immediate location familiar with your work. And outside of that, it was doing battles, doing like the highly like coveted battles that everyone, like if you won it, you would get your name in magazines and then people would check it out. But then Napster became a thing, and LimeWire was like these file sharing technologies. So everything was happening at such a rapid pace, and to know how to utilize that situation to your benefit was really important, because I mean, what good would have winning? If I won a battle but had nothing to show for it afterwards, what good is that?
Right.
Because battle rappers still do that. They win the battle and they think they won the war. You know, you won a battle. That's just one little tiny piece of what you need to do. So, and a lot of the people that I ran with back then, I mean, we were in the battles, but we weren't battle MCs per se. It was like, that was just one piece of the puzzle. So people would see the name, they would go on Napster, check out the music, download the music, get familiar with the music, and then suddenly it's like 1999, I played a show in Sweden. You know, like before I even played almost anywhere else in the States. It's like people outside of Rhode Island were familiar with, and outside of the country were familiar with my music. And so I'm really grateful that that happened during that time period. And again, people are like, okay, now everyone streams music pretty much. You know, that's how people experience their music. And it's not the same as when I say I'm grateful people were able to get my music for free, because I didn't have distribution. Because people were paying for music back then, you know, and it wasn't such a flooded market. So it was easier to make a living off of it and build my record label. That's essentially how Strange Famous Records started. Because I got these shows, I sold my mixtapes, I built up capital, I was able to invest in this, and then distributors, when they saw that the music was selling and there was a fan base for it, stores wanted the material. So distributors were willing to work with me whether I had like official product or not. I was making, like, there was no barcodes. It was just like ship off a bunch of CDs, like send me a check and we're good. And yeah, that was a really good period. Besides selling hand to hand at shows. Yeah, that was pretty important for the tour circuit, actually. Yeah.
You also were at the time, though, kind of building this poetry community. Like the slam poetry thing was like big in the '90s, and Providence, I don't know if they really even had anything going on, but that was something that you
actually. Providence won the National Poetry Slam in '96. I became familiar with it in '97. I think I was part of the team in '97, '98, and it was a burgeoning scene at the time. It's not what it is now. Again, it's the same story. It's not nearly like how it used to be, but it was brand new. It was very fresh, and this was another way to get my name out there. I didn't want to be known as a slam poet. I didn't want to be known as a poet at all. I really didn't. It was like I wanted people just to know that I was a creative. You know, like, this is really interesting stuff. What else has it got going on? So let them look at it. There's the music. You know, like, I'm an MC. You know, that was the meat and potatoes of what I am. I think as an artist, it's changed a lot through the years, but poetry was a big part of it. But so is the same with the slam. I mean, the battles. Those were competitive things where you win and you get that rush, like I've accomplished something, but really you didn't. You like one step up a very long staircase. Yeah.
Well, I think that is sort of what you're known for, though. Your lyricism, and your metaphor, and your sort of not shying away from speaking about whatever is on your mind, whether it's personal or it's political, or, you know, how do you think that has served you over the years? I mean, you've had a career now for 20 years. I mean, imagine that you've sort of morphed and evolved as an artist. How do you think that you were able to have your fan base kind of come along for the ride with you?
By always being me and them knowing what that is and being along for the ride. Like, I wasn't pandering to any one kind of demographic. I wasn't trying to jump on any trends, so I didn't have to worry about maintaining this like false representation of myself. All I had to do was really find the core of what my issues are, and trust that it connects to other people's situations. Because we're all humans, we're all living this weird life. They're trying to make sense of it all. And there's connections between us all that just daily we wipe away. Like, we try not to really recognize that, because it's a lot of responsibility to realize that you're connected to every single person. So, I mean, for better or worse, that is how I've continued to do this. And at first, I think I was more confessional than I am now. As like, people are like, I mean, that was my niche, because hip hop was very guarded. Hip hop was like so braggadocious and it's like tough guy music.
Exactly, you don't want to like be vulnerable in front of your,
so like, I was like, no, let's do the other thing. I was like, this is like this all wide open field. So I was very confessional, and I still am, but in more guarded ways, because I did learn through time. That's like, I leave myself too out there for, I mean, I deal with a lot of damage control, and I'm really just trying to be more artistic than I am revelatory or revealing.
You kind of have at least a little bit of a reputation of this political commentary. I know you had a really defining moment when 9/11 happened, and you released a song called "Makeshift Patriot," and it was basically talking about the way the media depicted this horrific situation. And you do have a background in journalism,
right?
So this was something that you already identified with, and you created this song, released it 1 month after the event, and I kind of feel like did this dub you as someone political, a political rapper, and are you okay with that?
It did dub me. Yeah, it did like fit me into the political rapper category, because at the time there really was not a lot of political rap out there. I mean, the days of Public Enemy and like that was its own incredible era that we will never like reach. It just was so special. And then there was a gap where not a lot of hip hop was dealing with real social issues. They were in their own ways, but not as on the head, on the nose as like what Public Enemy was doing. And they're a major influence and inspiration to me. Chuck D is still like one of the very few heroes from my youth who continues to inspire. And then when 9/11 happened, obviously, I mean, I don't know, I'm not gonna ask your age, but
I was around.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
It was very risky for me to release that song when I did, because the whole over the top patriotism, it wasn't patriotism. It was like people were just scared,
right?
And they didn't want to be seen as not a patriot. So you better have your American flag
right.
on your car, or else you are a suspected terrorist.
Right.
And I was like, this is just so wrong. And like everything about it felt wrong, because it wasn't just about the media, but I felt like media was fanning those flames and really getting off on, this is our time. We're gonna make, this is my moment to shine. Is like we're gonna feed into the frenzy, and people in general, the communities, I felt like weren't keeping themselves in check, and racism and xenophobia became a huge issue. And I was like, where's the Public Enemy song? Where is
who's gonna talk about this?
Yeah, where's KRS-One? Where's Zach De La Roca? Where's no one was coming with the track. I was like, all right, I'm gonna do this, and I hope I don't get dragged away. And surprisingly, I found that a lot of people really, it resonated with a lot of people. Were scared to say it themselves, and that's why that song spread like wildfire. And more, I never really expected it. I had no idea what was going to happen, but it did, and it did peg me as a political artist. But that's not my drive. Like I don't make music to talk about politics, or like that's part of it. But so that's why I feel like I will let people down if they're like, I only like political rap. Like you check out Sage Francis, then they hear songs about cats, and they're like, that's, no.
Do you have songs about cats?
Yeah.
Please tell me you do.
I do.
Awesome.
I get a song called Make 'Em Purr. It's all about cats.
I love it. I'll check it out. Well, and I have to ask, because it seems like it's impossible to have that opinion at one point and not see this current political climate and see
right.
the insanity. Is this influencing you at all? Do you think is this going to come out in your music? Is this not going to come out in your music?
It might, but the main difference between what happened back then and now is we didn't have this 24-second news cycle.
Yeah.
There's constant news updates. Everyone is harping on these one things, and harping on Trump, which is very easy, is like this low-hanging fruit that I don't care to, like, that's not a challenge for me.
And people are speaking out about this who have never spoke out about anything.
Right. It's a whole other era. It's just a whole different thing, and it will probably make its way into my music, but I'm not, like, there's no drive for me to really tackle that as its own thing. Is like, that is just part of everything that I feel like I've been talking about it for so long. I'm not going to repeat myself. I could make the same song again, because there's songs like Hey Bobby that I released. There's songs like Slow Down Gandhi. I have a slew of political slanted music that totally fits this situation.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to make a song about Trump. And I didn't make a song about Bush. And
Right.
And even Obama, like I got pot shots for him too, but I don't make songs about one thing. It's really what we're all, I don't know, I try to be more encompassing than that. Yeah.
Global sort of concepts. So you do have some new projects in the
Yeah.
works. Because you're constantly touring. I mean, you've been on the road. It seems like always you're constantly in Europe and all these places. But you have a new group.
Yes.
It's you and another Rhode Island-based artist, B. Dolan.
B. Dolan!
Shout out. You're called Epic Beard Men.
That's right.
I wonder where that inspiration
Epic
came from.
Beard Men. You
I wonder where that.
You don't need a beard to be in the group, but you have to be either me or B. Dolan. That's
There you go.
Yeah, them's the rules. But he is. I would say he's more politically minded than I am. He's more involved in the activist circles. He's very adamant about that stuff. And we've worked together for a decade now. We've been on several tours. We do tour a lot, and we were like, we do all this stuff together. Let's start a group. Like,
Yeah.
I've never really done
Make
that.
it official.
Because we both write on our own, we record on our own. It's tough to come together as, I don't know, to work as a unit, but two years now we've been working on this project that's going to get released next year. And we'll tour it like crazy. And it's not Sage Francis, it's not B. Dolan, it is Epic Beard Men, its own thing. It's more fun. I think it's a little bit more punchy than what you might be familiar with in my music, like my solo stuff. So I'm excited about that. And yeah, we're actually going to do Fringe Festival in Scotland this August. So we do like 21 shows all at the same place.
Wow.
To build, like that gives you an opportunity to really build a set that
Yeah.
you can perfect. We
Wow.
did it last year too. It was amazing.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, getting to live in Edinburgh for a month is
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
And then you're in Scotland for a month in August, then you go to Canada, and then
Yeah.
you go back to Europe for a few more shows. And this
Yeah.
is all with Epic Beard Men, or are you doing some
We're
Sage
doing
Francis
solo.
stuff?
No, it's mainly solo. It's
Solo
mainly
stuff.
like for now it's Sage Francis and B. Dolan.
Gotcha.
We're just building up for the Epic Beard Men thing that's going to happen next year. So 2018, don't expect the Sage Francis songs at shows or B. Dolan. We're like really going in, and I'm excited about that because, like you said, like 20 years I've been doing the Sage Francis thing,
Yeah.
and I love it. I can still keep going, but this is to start fresh
Yeah.
and to start kind of from the bottom up with our base, obviously. But it's like to have a whole new thing. I'm excited about that.
I think your fans are excited too. I mean, you're
Yeah.
evolving as an artist and keeping everyone waiting
you.
for what's coming next.
I brought you a gift.
A gift!
I
I
don't
love
know.
gifts!
I don't know if you own a turntable, but you buy one now.
Yeah,
I got a slip
Hey!
mat. A slip mat. You put.
that is amazing.
That's right.
Look at this. Okay, this is now the time for the selfie.
Dissing you since 1996. Strange
Perfect.
famous.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Here you are.
Thank you. One more hug.
Yeah.
Sage Francis, everyone.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Bye.